Hey, welcome back to another episode of It's a Football Thing. As always, I'm your host RJ, and I'm joined by my fellow co-host and champion mates, Scott the Gooner and Rob the Red Devil. How are we, fellas? How we been?
Good evening, man. I am so pumped. Honestly, I can't believe that Arsenal are kicking off the Premier League season very, very shortly. This feeling probably won't last, but I've been like a kid in a candy store today, just thinking about it coming back. I don't know about you, Robbie.
Mate, the exact same. Super pumped. Been messaging in our group message today saying I'm pumped. A couple of days ago, mate, all day today, I think I've just been listening to Talk Sport and podcasts. I just want to hear pre-season previews. I just want football to come at me. I'm pumped.
Well, I can see why you boys are happy. We've got the Premier League back on. You know, it's a couple of days away. It feels like it's been an eternity since we last got together because we've all been busy doing content creation all over the shop. You know, between the United Pubcast, Robbie, I know you've been flying the IFT flag proudly there. So big shout out to Tom and Co on that channel. And also for those that aren't aware, Scott and I have been representing the IFT crew as part of a new weekly show called Down Under Football Crew. So we're doing our utmost to continue spreading the good IFT vibes. But while I'm particularly happy, and for those that can see visually on the screen, I'm just going to bring you a couple of props that I brought back with me from Belfast this morning from our Super Cup victory. So go to mighty Chelsea. If you've been living under a rock, Chelsea secured a hard-fought penalties victory against Europa League winners Villarreal, 1-1 after injury time. So happy days to Thomas Tuchel's tricky Blues. Boys, but let's pivot to the Premier League. We're here and focusing on the now. But before we get into any of that good stuff, of course, Premier League, Fantasy Premier League fixtures, the predictions, the transfer talk, we're going to cover all of that. But what we need you to do, hit that like button, subscribe, help us reach that wider audience and continue to help us grow and join us along the way. So, boys, let's get stuck into it, hey?
Absolutely, why not? Now, we are kicking off, and like I said, my boys Arsenal are kicking off the season against Brentford Friday the 13th. We don't have a backup goalkeeper. New boys up to the Premier League. What could possibly go wrong? Here's to hoping for an excellent start. I've been looking at the league as a whole, and these are just some kind of general thoughts. And I really think that there are going to be some tight battles. I feel that relegation is going to be incredibly tight because a lot of teams have kind of improved from last year. I feel like the top four is relatively set. And in our preview show, I did call your boys Chelsea to win it, RJ. But I just think it's going to be a cracking season. So many teams have improved. And if you had to kind of come out and say that team's an easy 3 points, I can't think of anyone who I'd say is an easy 3 points. Don't say it, Rob. I can see the smirk on your face. Don't do it, mate. I don't know, but I think it's going to be a cracking and really tight season. Robbie, I don't know about your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, man, I have to agree, man. Like, it is going to be, I think it's going to be a crazy season. Obviously, the couple unknowns, you know, got a Brentford that haven't been in the Premier League for years and years and years. Probably, I don't think we've ever seen them in the Premier League, so they're a bit of an unknown. You've got your Norwich that's come up as well, a bit of a yo-yo team. Again, you've got all the big boys that are going to be sitting at the top, but you know which purchase is going to end up coming up on top. And then again, there's going to be the midfield battle. Like, is Everton finally going to get a Europa spot? Is Villa and all their transfers going to try and hit a piece of Europe as well? So there's lots of different titles that we're going to be keeping an eye on, and can't wait for it.
That's a beautiful way of putting it. Lots of different titles, because obviously the top end of town are interested in the actual Premier League title, but we've got the top four, the top six, the mid-table maybe wonders, and then, of course, arguably the most important, the ones trying to avoid the ugly drop back to the championship, because as we know, once you get sucked into the championship, there's no guarantee you're going to make it back up. So in many respects, that's probably the most intriguing battle to watch. But from me personally, obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing whether or not our boys can bridge the gap among City and watching just how much progress United have made with the acquisitions they've made during the transfer window. But even the likes of, obviously, Arsenal's been a little bit active. Aston Villa's made a lot of great squad purchases following the loss of Grealish. And then you've got other teams like the Merseyside duo. So Everton's going to be quite interesting to see under old rival and enemy manager Benitez. And then, of course, Liverpool. Van Dijk's back, does that all of a sudden transform their hopes again? So there's just so many intriguing subplots going on. But yeah,
Good point.
it's all
And
happening.
you know what? I've spent a lot of this week, just like you boys, watching a lot of excellent content creators who have been putting out previews, just like we did the other day. Liverpool, I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on Liverpool. They won the league pretty convincingly. They won the Champions League not too long ago, and they've now got their best centre back and the man that holds that team together in Virgil van Dijk back. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. Like, I'm saying that I think Chelsea are the team to win it, but I think you write Liverpool off at your own risk. Before we keep going with that chat, I wanted to point out a few legends in the live chat. Buzzing tonight. Thank you. It gives us a real high when you guys are here. This isn't just our show, it's your show, so we love having you in here. Declared, our man, says he's still on the Bozza high. If you're not sure what he's referring to, RJ and I on that new show, Down Under Football Crew, which is on Monday nights, we hosted Mark Bosnich for our launch episode, and that was a cracking chat. Check mine and RJ's social media for some of the links. George is here, and he's giving away one of my fantasy Premier League secrets, one of the worst kept secrets. Ivan Toney, who have 90% of Premier League watchers smiling after the first game. Yeah, hopefully he has my team smiling, George. Chelsea
Which team is
fan
that?
TV.
Your fantasy team or your actual team, Scott?
You know what? Let's keep going.
Up already.
Let's not go down the rabbit hole just yet. Daniel, Arsenal kicking off because they feel bad and need a head start. Mate, it may not be a head start if the result doesn't go too well. We'll have to see. A couple more comments I'll just flick through. Kind of game that gets us pumped. Good friend of ours, Dan Hill, a football beacon of knowledge and hope and excellence in the world of football. Twitter. Davide, how are you, my friend? Nice to have you here. Davide had the pleasure of attending high school with RJ and I. We both had much more hair. I was a little bit skinnier. And Anthony.
It's my cousin. What a legend. What a legend. Hey, Anthony, you got to see this. The Super Cup, straight back from Belfast. Could you?
Two more. We've got Dan again calling out that Bozza episode was the best. Please feel free to share that out, my man. We'd love that. Lottie joining us all the way from London. Top gooner she is and does amazing work on Cannon Chatter. And Benny, welcome, Ben. Nice to have you in the live chat too. Robbie, before we went through all those chats, and keep them coming, guys, you give us a buzz. We love having you there. I was just saying not to sleep on Liverpool. Now, none of us want Liverpool winning anything, but do you think they could kind of be an underdog? And why do you think people aren't talking about them as much as the likes of City and Chelsea?
It's got to be just because they haven't had a great window or nothing's really come in big at the moment. Like I said, at the moment, a lot of people are calling their returning players from injury, their new signings at the moment, from what everyone's saying. And like I said, because you've got your, obviously, shiny new toys at your City, your United and your Chelsea, obviously, everyone can see that they've moved on to the next level to push on. But like I said, I don't know if the Liverpool players coming back are going to be a push on or it's just going to be a move up to kind of like what the levels were, maybe better for them last year, because they didn't have the greatest. They finished on a high, but mid in that middle of the season, that's when they had all those losses, especially at home. And obviously when they got the most affected by all their injuries. So yeah, I do think I wonder if there's going to be a late purchase for them late on. Who knows what if they're going to get another midfield or something like that to replace Ginny Wijnaldum or something like that. Obviously, I think Robertson, he's got a slight injury, so they're going to be. Don't know who's going to be playing left back at the moment, but yeah, and even from what I've heard, Virgil van Dijk, he's come back, but a lot of people said he's had a bit of a rusty preseason as well. So, like I said, I'm not counting him out, but I think that's why a lot more people are talking about those three in particular.
My perspective on it is that I think he's obviously a massive improvement to that back line, not just in terms of his actual physical and technical attributes, but the leadership, the confidence he brings and connects between the left and the right of his defensive partnerships. But just those intangibles, like I said, around the leadership angle, the experience, the calmness under pressure, it's these sorts of things. And this is why I know I'm pivoting nicely or not so subtly to Chelsea, but the experience factor in the likes of Thiago Silva and co, they're things that are just hard to put an actual quantifiable value on. But I think with the likes of Van Dijk for Liverpool, I don't think it'll be enough to propel them all the way back to the title, because the other teams have not just stagnated, they've actually improved. So unless they go into the market again, I don't think that they're in a position to replicate the same kind of red hot form that saw them become the dominant force in Europe a couple of seasons ago. Because I just think we spoke about this on our pods last season. The rapid intensity of the Klopp system is just unsustainable. But who knows? They're a bit more refreshed now. Van Dijk's had time to recover. Yes, he's a bit rusty, but that's to be expected. Who knows? By the time he hits rounds 4, 5, 6, he could be in full stride again. So it's going to be quite interesting to see just how far off the money they are.
Don't forget, just also, January is the African Cup of Nations, so they'll lose big boys like your Mane, they'll lose Salah and Naby Keita. So that's 3 big players in that important part of the year that they could lose for a while as well.
Yeah, I think that's going to have a bit of a kind of wide-reaching impact. But I wanted to point out this comment from Lottie, because it's something that I'd thought about earlier today, but it slipped my mind. I think that Liverpool missed Van Dijk a lot last season, if I'm honest. I think, and Trent Alexander-Arnold, they'll feed off the fans once the season gets going. Obviously, we've got some friends over there who are attending games this weekend. You are living our dream, so enjoy that. But now that we have fans back, to me, it makes the viewing experience so much better. I'm trying to teach my little guy some of the Arsenal chants today. And when he was in the bath, I was teaching him, what do you think of Tottenham? And yeah, I won't finish the rest, but my wife wasn't pleased. But I'm hoping to get him learning that before our North London derby. But fans are going to make a difference. And I think Liverpool, more than any of our teams, suffered not having the Kop there, because the Kop are fantastic. Okay, love Liverpool, hate Liverpool. They're brilliant. Are there any teams that you think are really going to get that lift with the fans? Or for me, I actually think that's going to turn up the heat on Arsenal. The Emirates can get quite toxic when things aren't going our way. And I think Arteta was quite lucky last season that there were no fans. I truly believe if that stadium was full every week, he wouldn't have lasted the year, because fans would have turned that heat up. So I actually think for Arsenal, it's going to create a challenge for us if we don't start really well. So I'm a little bit nervous about it. Obviously happy for all the Gooners going, but I'm a bit nervous. I don't know about you, RJ. How do you feel? Are the teams you're worried for, or teams that you think will benefit?
From a introduction of the crowd again perspective, I really see it as a pretty much an even playing field. I know you mentioned that Liverpool, they have the spiritual backing of the Kop, and and I don't even argue the same with United at Old Trafford. I know we're a different team under a full house at Stamford Bridge. I think, but that's the whole general theme, isn't it? Most teams get a big spirited kick when they're playing in front of their fans, but equally they are up against it when they're playing at a full crowded house away from them. So it kind of offsets each other. But I think the general consensus would be that most players, if not all, would prefer to play in their natural habitat of playing in front of a big crowd, because they're professionals at the end of the day and they want to have that motivation apart from wanting to win, of course, which is first and foremost. But I look at sort of just, moving the conversation more into terms of other teams that I think are going to cause a few shakes this year. I'm actually, apart from the top 4, which we spoke about in last week's season preview, I suppose a few teams that outside of that little group that I'm really looking forward to see are the likes of clearly Aston Villa and the loss of Grealish, and what Buendia, what Danny Ings does for them, and what Leon Bailey being brought in, because he's an exciting player to watch. The question I have for Aston Villa, and then I'm keen to hear what the Villan fans have to say on social media, is do they think, despite the more players they've got, has that been enough to offset the X factor and the quality Jack Grealish brings? It's a really tough one until you see it unfold, but I'll be watching that with a fine-tooth comb. And of course, being a Chelsea fan, we've loaned out a couple of players, a couple to be generous, but Crystal Palace have got Conor Gallagher, they've got Mark Gurhey, Patrick Vieira is obviously at the helm there at Palace, so it's quite interesting to see what he can do with that team, because a lot of people are tipping them to struggle. So I'm quite keen to see what happens there. He started off well, in the preseason. And, of course, the Scottish Iniesta, Billy Gilmore at Norwich. They're going to be another team I'm following very closely. So there's a handful of teams like that. And Leeds, of course, who United kick off first and foremost, Robbie, your old enemies. Are they going to leave the front? Are they going to leave the back door open, or what's going to happen there?
Oh, we might leave that for the predictions. But yeah, look, I'm definitely looking forward to that, man. Like I said, 16 years. Obviously, we've got them last year, but with no crowds. With crowds, it's going to be electric, man. I'm pumped for it. 75,000, Old Trafford. I think we've all been waiting for a long time for this one.
I think Leeds are one of those teams that get the biggest plus from having fans back in the home stadium too.
Ellen Road will be rocking, man.
I think it's going to go crazy there. Wanted to point out a couple of comments in the live chat. Yes, absolutely right. We did hit 300 YouTube subs the other day. So thank you. That's big thanks to you guys for all your support. We're hoping we can triple it soon. That would be lovely. But for now, we're just enjoying bringing you some quality, we think quality content anyway. A couple of other comments in the chat. Yeah, hoping Aubameyang feeds off the energy. I absolutely agree. And Lottie, you're going to the Chelsea game, so looking forward to hearing what it's like in there. Leicester, this is an interesting shout. Interested in seeing how Leicester go because I have won 2 cups at Wembley in the recent months, so they will be buzzing. Yeah. What do you think of this one, Robbie? From Tom at the United Pubcast.
Oh, God.
You want me to read it for you, no?
Nah, sorry, I couldn't think. Yeah, look, I think it works both ways, mate. Like, I'm sure if it gets to the 60th plus mark on Saturday, and it's 0-0 or something like that, or we can't break down their low block if they set up like that, I'm sure everyone will be buzzing from kickoff, but I'm sure the crowd will get pretty quickly onto everyone's backs if it's 0-0 or a goal behind, or hopefully not that.
Yeah, I was going to say just quickly in terms of another game that I was looking at the match of the round, and we'll talk about a few different ones that pique our interest, and that was actually a question of the week. But something that stood out to me as a neutral fan is the City Spurs game. And I know, again, that's part of the question of the week, but I look at that and that just, apart from the United Leeds one, that sort of jumps out at me as a neutral fan thinking already it's not defining. I'm not going to make bold statements, pun intended, on it. But what I mean by that is if Spurs get a battering from City, that already puts Nuno on the back foot and a lot of pressure already, and setting the expectation that this is going to be a bit of a disaster class campaign, fingers crossed. But equally, if they can jag a result against City, who just lost a Community Shield, and you've got this pressure of they're going to roll everybody, it's going to be just, it's just one of those games that is it going to set the tone for either club's sort of trajectory? So that sort of jumped out at me. I just wanted to throw that in the mix.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. And you've kind of then started something in the live chat because Dan's asked, what do you guys think of Man City this season? Are they missing anything? Will they try get Kane? Good friend Dennis, who's on the Sideline Talk podcast, says Vestergaard's a good investment considering the injury to Fofana. Villa will surprise people. Great business. Yeah, look, hard to argue with the business they've done. There are 15 of you in the live chat at the moment. We love having you here. If you can do us a favor and hit that like button, it does help get the video seen. And if you haven't already, please sub. Davide saying Man City will need to sign a big striker to keep up with a scary Chelsea squad. Lottie saying Kane might be available for Spurs, which will make it interesting. It's a subplot, isn't it? Seeing what will happen. And one more on City, which seems to be a game a lot of people are looking forward to. They might be in trouble if they don't get Kane. Yeah, I think that Community Shield game was pretty telling. And I do think they need a striker desperately. If they don't get a striker, if they don't get Kane, which I still think they will, they might find it tricky. You can only get away with not playing a striker for so long, whether you're Pep or Ollie.
I don't know. I think that's obviously the natural comment is that's what they were missing. People will point to that. They did win. You got to remember they did have a strong, particularly second half of the Premier League campaign after a few speed humps at the beginning. And yes, they lost the Champions League final and they didn't go on to an FA Cup. But I'm just wondering whether or not the source of the problem was directly that, or if it's just the fact that they were perhaps being a little bit too tick-attacker in their approach, and if it's the target man that necessarily resolve it, because they don't play that general style of football. But if they did get a Kane or they got a world-class striker, one would think that they would adjust their game style to rely more on that focal point. But just on that Kane sort of sub-point, because that was something we discussed with Boz the other night, you got to put yourself in the mindset of Harry Kane. He, on face value, clearly doesn't want to stay at Spurs, but at the same time, and it's funny that his first opponent would be his team that he's going to, he's a professional at the end of the day, and you would think from his perspective he'd want to maintain that high standard, not just from a reputation angle, but to keep his legs fresh, to keep up his momentum. Because him riding the bench and having his arms crossed, I'm not sure how much good that does for him anyway. So it'll be just interesting to know what's going on in his brain, knowing who his opponents are this week. What do you boys think?
Robbie, your thoughts on Kane?
Mate, it's a flip of a coin. Like I said, we all know I think he really does want to leave, and he's got in his head that he wants to leave. But as I've said for the past couple of pods now, I can't see it happening this close to the window now. I think it's crazy. Even if Tottenham were to get the big dollars, it's going to be a bit of a panic buy for them to go out and replace him, you know what I mean? Because, a lot of people can say, yeah, you might be able to get 3-4 players for the money of 130 million for a Kane, but it's exactly what they've done with Bale. They got the money and they spent all the money in the wrong positions and it didn't work out. So, yeah, like I said, I can see him actually playing against City this weekend, believe it or not.
Yeah, look, it's going to be interesting. Interesting question there before we get to the question of the week. Maybe just a quick yes or no with one reason why. Do you think he's worth the rumoured 120 million price tag, or is it the English tax? For me, when you look at the current market, I think 120 mil for such a quality striker is reasonable. When you've got players going for,
if Ben White's gone for 50 million, I guess Harry Kane's going to be 120.
Yeah, I mean, even Grealish at 100.
100%.
I think that's ridiculous. So with the current market, yes, I think he's worth that. What about you, RJ? You're the financial man on this show.
Yeah, perhaps not the good financial man. For me, very quickly, I do think it's a little bit over, but it's over because of availability. You can't look at it in a vacuum. If there was 20 other good strikers or comparable, his value is a lot less. It's a demanded supply thing, very basic economics. He's one of a few. Lukaku's gone, Lewandowski's staying, Haaland's not going anywhere. Voila, there's only one left. So guess what? There's going to be a premium on this player. He is costing you a lot more money, but he's a proven top quality striker. My only issue with him is he has injury concerns in the past. So you're not paying for a 38-game season striker, but when he's on, he's very on. So it depends on your risk appetite. I'll leave it at that.
Robbie, quickly from you, is he worth 120?
Again, what RJ said, man, I think if a club wants someone, they've got to pay the money at the end of the day. It reminds me of when we were after Harry Maguire. At the time, I definitely wouldn't have said he was worth 80 million, but we wanted him, and Leicester said, well, if you want him, come get him, pay the money.
Yeah.
Total rip-off.
Yeah.
Look, our question of the week that we put out on very short notice, but you responded, was which opening games are you most excited about and why? I'll just scroll through some of the answers. Robbie, RJ, I'm not sure about Facebook or Insta, if you had any you wanted to pull out from there. Dan, hiding his blue bias well, excited about Chelsea Palace. What other 9 games are there? Wants to see Lukaku play, probably from the bench, I'm thinking. Mark Brown, as a former Brentford junior and then being my late dad's team, Brentford Arsenal has a place in my heart and head. A long way down from Blues v Palace, but definitely there. Yeah, I can see that you'd have some sentimental value attached to that. I'm just hoping it's not too good a day for Brentford. Hoping it's much more enjoyable for us. Tom from the United Pubcast, one correct answer, no explanation needed. And I think RJ hit the nail on the head when he said...
This is a good response, I think.
But Burnley-Brighton will be a cracking contest. I agree with you, Mr. RJ. Looking forward to that. Let's scroll down. That Chelsea podcast, friends of ours from all the way over in London. They're going to the game, first league game. I can't imagine that feeling after being away for so long. And look, we're all watching this man, Tony, to see how he goes. Do you want to go through this one, RJ, Pats?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Pat, big shout out to Pat Larson, an OG of the supporter of IFT crew. Good evening, champions. I wonder who's referring to. Other than having Chelsea back, I'd say the Villa versus Watford game. That's actually a very good low-key shout. Villa having conducted excellent business this summer, despite losing Grealish, as we mentioned. I look forward to seeing how the side plays with their new signings and without Jack. And I think that's the general consensus across the board. And this is another friend of ours via the Goldberg Byline podcast Avengers crew, JC Yambau. For me, it's Norwich versus Liverpool and Everton versus Southampton. Excited to see what our loanees can do because he's a Chelsea fan. Also, Norwich, excited about Billy G and Sergeant America getting to play together. Both have bright futures. And finally, another Chelsea Blue friend of mine, great writer and content creator, Vivek. Excited for Brentford Arsenal. An Arsenal loss would be a great way to kick off the season. Big up, Vivek.
This is why I'm always putting out on social media that we need some more Arsenal fans in this live chat. That's why I'm happy that Sideline Talk podcast was here. I'm happy that Lottie's here joining us. I just need a bit of backup. There's too much Chelsea here. Now, that Villa game was one that
I've got a couple on Facebook quickly.
Oh, yeah, beautiful. Go for it.
I'll just go quickly. Adam Schwerber, he's got, again, the Brentford Arsenal. He goes, it'll be good to see Arsenal get off to a crap start. Josh Whitford, he's got Everton versus Southampton. To hopefully see my boys contend and finish higher than the mid-table. West Ham, Newcastle. Keen to see if last year's underdog contenders can come back with a bang. I would say that's about West Ham. And again, David Tozzi, he goes, Leeds, Man United, game of the week for sure.
Yeah, some crackers. Did you have any you wanted to add, RJ?
Yeah, just one on Instagram that really stood out from Crispy04, another supporter of the show always has been. Brentford versus Arsenal again, cause Brentford genuinely could win this game. So there's been a lot of calls for that. And I think it's maybe not so much disrespect to the Gunners, but maybe a bit of low-key
very much
respect.
disrespectful.
Hey, come on now. Come on.
Yeah, look, it's interesting. You never know what you're going to get with the newly promoted teams. Their first game up, they're pumped. Look, I wouldn't be shocked if we did drop some points in this. I wouldn't be shocked if Brentford snatched a draw. They are going to be absolutely euphoric coming into it. I would be much more happy if we pumped 6 goals past them. But, you know, the reality is it's a tricky game. It's not an easy match. There are no easy matches in this league. We've got some people in the live chat who have shared some answers. One from George, Arsenal Brentford. Any positive result will lead to a great start of all or nothing. Oh, pumped for that. It's going to be interesting to see what they've been doing during the transfer window. Lottie saying Brentford Arsenal. Only ground she hasn't been to, but Tony will be up for it. Yeah, hoping Murray has his head on alongside White. That's if he starts. I mean, you never know. You never know who our starting defenders will be, but cracking game coming. Chelsea Palace for Daniel and City Spurs. And Declared in there has asked me a question. He said, I know you've been copying it. I have been declared. I don't know why I do this to myself every Thursday. Sucker for punishment. But my honest expectations, well, I spoke about it a little bit in the preview show, but look, in 20 seconds, my expectations are that we're rebuilding. We're not rebuilding as quickly as I'd like, which has been evident in our transfer business to date. Could change. I don't think we're a shot for the top 4. I think that's pretty much set. But I do think we're a shot for 5th or 6th. I think we'll fight for that. I don't think we'll finish any lower than last season, which was 8th. So surely the only way is up. And I'm thinking a 6th place finish or 5th. So they're my feelings ahead of that.
I thought you were pretty close to landing free agent Messi at one point, and that would have helped you chase the top half of the table, Scott.
Mate,
so
the Cronkies could afford him if they wanted to. It's just a matter of if they wanted to. But, you know, we could go on about this forever. There was a question from Anthony in the live chat. He said, do you think Grealish is well spent for Man City's roster? To me, I think they've got midfield overload. I actually don't know who's going to pull the strings in that midfield But there was news that Foden's been injured, so I think that'll make it easier for Grealish to settle. What about you, Robbie? You're on mute, my man.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, obviously with Foden, he looks like he's going to miss possibly up to a month out, and I think as well, De Bruyne is still carrying a bit of a knock, so that's another midfield option out. And as Pep's saying, Bernardo Silva wants to go out. Not that that's happening yet, but it looks like he could be coming to Atletico.
Come
But
to Arsenal.
yeah, come to Arsenal. Yeah, but yeah, look, I'd say he got a bit of a run in the Community Shield, so I dare say he could get a start, but I dare say he will get some minutes against Tottenham on the weekend.
RJ, my man, midfield overload or brilliant signing?
No, look, for me, they've got the money. He's a unique player. I don't think that's overs based on his age and sort of ceiling and the whole English quota when you factor all those variables in. Is it an area they desperately need upgrade? Arguably not, but we've got to look at it. It's not just a business decision, commercially I'm talking about, but it's a long season. He's a skillful player. He does bring a different dynamic. So if the usual style of football isn't working, he's someone that can go and change the game on its head. He reminds me of like a Hazard or someone that brings a different profile to the team. So I think principally, I don't think he'll be starting straight away, or even if he does, he might be eased into it. But again, it's about Pep being able to build a squad and not being caught out to have too much of just a singular approach. So, yeah, they didn't need him, but when you have the luxury of City's sort of backing, then why not? I'd take it if I could.
Absolutely, absolutely. Boys, did you have any other thoughts you wanted to share? Anything you wanted to get off your chest while we're talking about the new season? Or did you want to jump over to some Fantasy Premier League chat? RJ, maybe the Super Cup this morning.
Yeah,
that was a brilliant
quickly.
result.
Yeah, brilliant result. Not so brilliant performance. So those who didn't catch the match, I did on the new coverage on Stan, which I thought was an interesting experience. So I'm going to have to get used to that. But this is how the game was broken down very quickly. The 22nd version was that it was a tale of two halves. Chelsea started off the brighter, should have scored a couple goals at least in that first period. They had over 70% possession for most of that first half. Hakim Ziyech scored a nice goal following a great cutback in from Kai Havertz. Deserved lead at the half break, though Moreno did hit the post right at the tail end of injury time. In the second half, Emery, to his credit, Villarreal looked a team reborn. They were a lot more proactive with the ball. They did take a lot of ownership of possession. Chelsea resisted. Villarreal, to their credits, found the equaliser via some sloppy passing around at the back from Chelsea. And eventually we held out through to 1-1. We had a couple of chances, probably should have won it in extra time. But then superstar sub-keeper, Kepa, redemption again. And now that makes Jorginho getting the clean sweep. European champions, Champions League winner, and the Super Cup winner, the first time in the Chelsea players' history. So big up to Big Georgie.
Yeah, look, I didn't watch the game, but it was interesting to see the comment from Thomas Tuchel where he came out and said the statistics and what his background staff have told him that Kepa was a better chance at stopping the penalty. So, you know, I really like that about Thomas Tuchel. I think he's an excellent manager. I've been impressed with him from the second he came in, onwards and upwards to Chelsea, I think.
Yeah, I was just going to say as well, one thing I missed out that's actually quite important, and it segues nicely into the next topic, is goal scorer Hakim Ziyech suffered a pretty serious arm-shoulder injury. So for those that are in the FPL comp, I'd be looking at maybe subbing him out for a little while.
Yeah, there you go. Robbie, did you have anything you wanted to add on the Super Cup, or just that you wish Villarreal had won it?
Well, I'm not going to lie. When I got to the penalties, I was hoping I was going to start the show with a good opening just to rub it into RJ a little bit. As I would have felt they done Arsenal, they done us. So I was like, come on, dude, Chelsea will be good. But nah, we'll look good. Especially coming back. When you miss the first penalty to come back and win, that's always good. And a tactical masterclass with the change in the end. So like I said, it was good shootout to watch.
Yeah, Emery had his chance to do the IFT treble. Could have not beaten all of that.
He missed out.
Look, Fantasy Premier League is coming. I've been really into it this season, which is probably a silly thing to say before I'm bravely going to put my team up for a bit of scrutiny. I saw Robbie's little face light up then, getting a look at my squad. I haven't shared it yet. But boys, who are your hot tips before we go to me? I've got a couple. And Robbie, again, I'm going to watch your face. I think David De Gea is in for a big season now that he's got Varane in front. He's not expensive. United have a strong team. I'm expecting them to challenge. So for me, goalkeepers, he's someone who's right up there. I have got, like most of the population, Tony in my squad. And I actually think Smith Rowe at 6.5, very cheap. He's looked good in our friendlies. He's been trying to spark some attack. I think he'll bring some points in. He'll bring home the bacon. I've gone with much more midfield and forward-heavy team this season. I'm neglecting defence. It costs me too much. Robbie, who are a couple of your gems or players you think maybe that we should avoid or take? You're on mute, my man.
Sorry, guys.
Robbie's had a big day.
Yeah. I've gone a bit the opposite. I've gone a bit lighter up top, and I've gone more money towards the back, especially in the last couple of years, man. All these wing backs and full backs, I mean, they're the ones that are going to, if they get goals and assists, they're the ones that are going to boost your points up, man. They get big points. Like I said, I'll tell you my backline. I've got Trent Alexander, I've got Shaw, I've got Ben White, and I've got Chilwell at the moment. So, you know, especially Chilwell, Shaw, and Alexander-Arnold bombing up and down their wings, getting crosses in on set pieces. And like I said, I haven't gone – one thing I will say to a lot of people that have been saying this week, I haven't gone on an expensive or a premium striker, because I always say 12 million on a striker, you're going to want him to score at least once or twice or get an assist every week, or it's not worth it. So, yeah. Captain, you got to have at least one or two captains in your team. I've got Salah and I've got Bruno, so I've got two definite captain options there.
Well, what about you, RJ? You're probably the greenest in terms of fantasy Premier League experience here. What have you got?
First of all, let's get it straight here. I'm the greenest now, but back in the day, I was hooked. I was as analytical because it's part of my job. I used to live and breathe this stuff, and it was for my mental well-being. I actually just stepped back because I was too addicted to this stuff.
We saw that in the fantasy Eurocomp. We saw you.
Well, clearly, I dropped out. So.
I go back in the day, Supercoach. I have to say, he was a god in Supercoach, man. He was good.
But I will be brutally honest with you, and it's actually a good thing I haven't gone gung-ho just yet, because I'm just so worried about overly investing now because of these last-minute hiccups and injuries. Like Ziyech, for me, he's had a great preseason and was a genuine starter for me in terms of, at least, I mean, the starter is in someone I would pick. But now he's 6 to 8 weeks, and not just goals, but assists as well. But now he's injured, so that just throws a spanner in my works. So now what my strategy this year is, obviously we'll find out how ineffective it will become, is just to monitor what's going on. Don't pick the team just yet, and then go in there just right before, 6 hours, 8 hours before, and lock it in, because I want to have confidence that the team I'm picking is going to actually be the team that more often than not is actually available to play. So we'll see. It's a bold strategy, again, pun intended, but we'll see.
Just quickly, boys.
Yeah.
I want each of us to pick one player from representing our teams that you think you need to have in the team. So RJ, someone from Chelsea, obviously Scott. Who do you think from? And I'll go from United.
For me, with the price point, and I'm saying this because of the price point, not because I think he'll be our highest scorer, but Ben White. He'll be starting every week.
Yeah, 4.5. Yeah, I've got him. Yeah, he's good.
4.5. You can't go wrong. RJ?
I'd go Mason Mount.
I have Havertz. I've got Havertz. I think he's going to have a crack.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I just see him based on last season as a proxy for who's been playing. And, because we've increased our depth, I would say he's the only one of the few players in our team, aside from Mendy, really. And there's a couple of others, but he's one of the most consistent, and not just most consistent, but plays pretty much 70, 80 minutes at least each game. So I'd probably go him, and he's an attacking goal threat up front as well, and he does a lot of defensive contribution. So I'd probably go him.
What about you, Robbie?
Well, the obvious one, I think Bruno and Shaw are a must, especially considering the percentage of it's more you don't want to miss out. But I think a smoky for the first month could be Mason Greenwood.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
he's quite cheap, and he's going to obviously play possibly down the Cavani's out for a few weeks. He could be playing down the middle, and he's listed as a midfielder for bonus points.
Yeah, there you go. Look, Lottie's raised a couple of players I think are interesting. Calvert-Lewin has been in and out of my team so many times, it's not funny. Do you want to have a quick squiz at my team?
Bring it up, mate. Go for it.
It'll give you a good laugh. Now,
Rob, get the notepad out, mate.
No, don't. You won't. I've got 3 mil in the bank because I'm waiting for Lukaku. Lukaku is going front and center. But I'm happy to share with you boys. Just be kind. Because this is not done. Lukaku is going to change it. But this is where I stand at the moment. I'll show you my bench in a sec. 3 mil in the bank still. Lukaku will be in this team.
Is this an auto-simulated team or what?
and there's my bench.
I think Bamford's a good shout, to be honest. A lot of people haven't put him in. He's a bit of a differential. So yeah, I think that's a good shout.
Yeah. RJ, you made that cracking comment about this being auto big. Tell me what issues you see, mate. I might need to take some notes.
No, I agree. Bamford's a very good shout based on how attacking Leeds are. I think the only thing I'd say about that one is that Leeds have a number of goal threats across the team, and he's an important part of that, obviously. But yeah, for the what was the price for him? Bamford?
For who? 8.
Bamford.
8 mil.
Okay. No, look, the team's not that bad. I'm probably Bertrand's an interesting choice. Although under Benitez, he's probably going to get them.
Anthony, I agree with you. He's got the question mark on the head as well.
That's a funny one.
I keep calling this. I think with Varane in there, United are going to be much more defensively sound. Sometimes you can be a bang average keeper. If you've got a great defense, you don't have a whole lot to do.
And it's good you picked.
No, go out. You go.
I was just going to say it's good that you picked a Chelsea fan in Luke Shaw there at the back, so that was good. I think he's a good player. So
thank you, Lottie.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, Lottie agrees with you.
Yeah, we'll have to see, boys. Maybe next week we'll have a good look at your team. Say, I knew you'd enjoy that. It's going to change. Lukaku has to come in.
Even Kane, even if Kane then swaps over to City, what would his price be, and how many people will go over? Look, personally speaking, and I'll say this now, obviously on the record, if he was to go to City, I think there's a bit of a transition period. This is a good comment. I like
Henderson's got COVID. Henderson's got COVID, so that's not happening.
Yeah, that's the only reason I went it as well, because you told me he had COVID. So I'm feeling safe. Sorry, RJ.
No, I was saying, I forgot the point now. I think it was Kane in City, actually. I'm saying if he was to go there, I don't even know how long it would take him to settle in. Like, I'm pretty sure he's a kind of classy player that shouldn't take long to find his straps. But at the same time, we need points thick and fast in the FPL. So would I be patient enough to spend a big chunk of my salary on someone that needs 2 to 3 match days to find their feet? I don't think so. So it'll be interesting, though, but we'll have to see.
Interesting. There's just a question in the live chat. Declare, we're going to put it on the table, mate. We're no experts. But he's thinking about a massive gamble on Jorginho. With Lukaku in the team now, I can see more long balls to him and those assist numbers getting up, and penalties too. Robbie, what do you think about Jorginho?
I was thinking about Jorginho, obviously, like I said, because he's such a good price. But like I said, I think that scared me a little bit away with the new rule coming in with the whole soft penalty thing. So I think the referees are going to be not as easy blowing the whistle and pointing to the spot this year. That's a big thing, because I think he was Chelsea's top goal scorer in the league last year. So there you go. So yeah, he was great for value, but like I said, I just can't see them being as many pens. I still think he will take him over Lukaku, but I just don't think he's going to get as many pens. And I think they've got too much creativity as well with the likes of Mason Mount, Havertz, and Werner assisting as well.
RJ?
Yeah, no, it's actually a very good point, because at this very moment, the midfield selection, the preferred one, that is, if we're making an assumption here that the 3-4-3 stays with us. Jorginho and Kante are the preferred choice at the moment. So on that basis, you know that he's going to get more minutes, or at least more starts. The long ball one's interesting, because I know what declared exactly what he's talking about. He does this beautiful first time looping long ball, but he's also pretty good at those long ranges. I just think, to me, with Lukaku there, it's not just a one-trick pony in the sense of he's going to be someone that you hoof the long ball up to, he brings it down and brings a Havertz or a Mount, and they do a 1-2 through their way to goal. I think they're going to have a bit more variety now. And I do agree Jorginho will have more of an attacking-based role. It's just also now the fact that we're going to have more games through Champions League. We're going to want to win across different competitions. Jorginho, one of his strengths is not his athletic versatility. And because from a fantasy Premier League point of view, you know, obviously the more minutes you play, the more likely you are to get more points. So I'd probably be a bit concerned. And what Rob's point was, less likely to get pens. And again, Lukaku's a noted penalty taker. So it'll be interesting to see, does Tuchel want him to be the designated penalty taker now, if we get any? Because, you know, we're Chelsea, we don't get too many penalties like United, of course.
Yeah,
so
I'll leave it at United. Another question, and this will probably be the last one we cover on Fantasy Premier League. We'll do some predictions in a tick. How do you think Buendia will do at Villa this season with Grealish gone, even though he's injured at the moment? Look, from what I've heard, it's not too serious an injury, so he shouldn't be out too long. I actually think he's going to do a good job. Last time he was up in the Premier League, his numbers did take a big dip compared to the Championship numbers that he had last season. But I still think with the forward options they have in Ings, Bailey, Watkins, if you're not getting assists with those three guys ahead of you, you're doing something wrong. So I actually think he'll have a good season. Someone I would have liked us to get, but you know, it is what it is. What do you think, Robbie?
No, I agree with you, man. I actually had him in my fantasy for it. He's been in and out a few times, but yeah, obviously had to bring in some other players, and he ended up dropping out for now. But yeah, exactly what you said. His numbers in the Championship were great compared to when he did come up with Norwich last time. So, but I think with Grealish gone, he's going to have a little bit more free lengths. You know, he's going to be able to float around a little bit more. So yeah, I think he'll be all right.
Anything you want to add, RJ?
No, it's very much echoing similar to what you said. No extras.
Yeah, good stuff, boys. Before we get on to predictions, just wanted to point out a couple of comments in the live chat. Shano saying, can't wait to see the Aussie ref in the Prem. He can't do any worse than the others, so it'll be nice for us to have a ref there. Yep. As well, if you're in here and you haven't hit that like button and you haven't subscribed, please make sure you do that now. Your likes help our video get seen and help us build up an even better fan base with all of you lovely people in there.
Yeah, Scott, just on that as well, I was going to mention for our first-time viewers, if you haven't had a chance, what we're trying to do here on IFT is not only us three guys using our long-standing friendship from free rival clubs to have these type of discussions, but we've recently been working hard to try to bring in the odd special guest to mix it up. So recently we've had the likes of Fabrizio Romano, Scott McDonald. So we are trying to really take off and grow good things, as some would say, for this show. So just wanted to share that for our first-time viewers.
Yeah. And we can't do that without your support. We are doing predictions. I really want to get to those. I'm keen. But let's just quickly give a response to this question. Welcome, Tom. Nice to have you in the live chat. If City don't sign Kane or someone of that ilk, do you reckon they can actually compete for the league? To me, I think City, even as they are, will compete for the league. I think signing Harry Kane pretty much makes it a much easier task. I think without a striker, a high-quality striker, Chelsea are going to give you a big run for your money. Arj?
Yeah, the context is they are the reigning Premier League champions. Yes, they've lost Aguero, but he wasn't in his most scintillating form last season anyway. So they had to pretty much do it without a quasi, focal point up top. And you've added in arguably the most creative player in the Premier League in Jack Grealish. So not only are they a chance, but they are, in my eyes, and I know I've got bias on my side being a Chelsea fan, but they should be regarded as the favourites. I'm not saying they're going to blow everybody apart, but they are genuine favourites, and I think they should accept that responsibility, to be honest. But it'll be interesting to see if they struggle without a recognised number 9.
Robbie, any quick thoughts on that, my man?
I think they'll be fine, mate. I think they're, like I said, I've got Chelsea winning that, but I still think City are right up there with the favourites. They could probably, their A and B squad, I reckon, would make top 4. So I think they've done it. Like I said, they didn't play with Jesus barely or Aguero last year, and they done what they done, and they still went deep in. They nearly won the quad, for God's sake, last year. So yeah, I think they'll be fine, man.
All right. If you've never joined us for a round of predictions, our rule here on the IFT show is that we do it quickly. They are quick fire predictions. We don't explain why. And I'm hoping that Daniel's keeping a register of this. I know he will be. Daniel tallied it last season. It was Robbie in first place.
No, RJ.
No, it was RJ. Sorry.
Robbie got my trophy, man.
Yeah.
And I was third from the top. Robbie in second. So
you could say last, but we'll make it third from the top.
Yeah, third from the top is more positive. Let's start. Brentford, Arsenal, kicking off the season. Robbie, who have you got?
I will go your boys with a 2-1 win, mate.
RJ?
No, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here.
The champion's putting down the hammer straight away.
Yeah, he's already starting 1 point behind. I am going with Arsenal 2-1 as well. Man United hosting Leeds. It's your team, Robbie, so you can kick it off.
Yeah, I'm slightly nervous, but I'm going to go for positivity. 3-1 to United.
I'll go 2-1.
2-1 United?
Yeah, one of the United, so I'm going to win either way. No, just kidding. I'm going to go to Manchester United, 2-1.
I am thinking there are going to be goals in this one. Leeds love a goal. United will be reinvigorated. I'm going with 3-2 Man United. Burnley, Brighton, RJ. Cracker.
Cracking contest, as I said on Twitter. I'm going to go here for the Brighton, the Potters boys. We're going to go for a 2-1 Brighton.
I'm going for a bore draw, 0-0.
Nah, I think Brighton are going to put some of those expected goals away this year, so I'm going to go for a 3-0 to Brighton.
Nice.
Interesting. All right, Chelsea hosting Patrick Vieira's Crystal Palace. RJ?
15-0 Chelsea. Nah, just kidding. I'm going to go for... Nah, it'll be tough. They'll be very pragmatic. 2-0 to the Blues.
Robbie, what about you, my man?
Yeah, I'm echoing that. 2-0 to the Blues.
Yeah, I'm going 3-0 to Chelsea. I think they'll run riot. Everton hosting Southampton. I might go first on this one. I think that Reina is going to get on to a good start with a 2-0 win.
Yeah, I'm going 1-0 Everton on this one.
Did I just say Reina?
Yeah, I was thinking.
He was his goalkeeper at Liverpool.
Yeah, Benitez.
Yeah. Benitez.
Rafa, not Reina. Amateur hour. 2-0 Everton.
Yeah, 1-0
1-0.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to lock in a 1-0 as well to Everton.
Leicester Wolves. The Foxes and the Wolves. Robbie, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the Foxes on this one. The score, I'll go 2-0.
RJ?
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the mighty Foxes, so I'm going to go 2-1. 2-1.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Rob, which I don't enjoy. Leicester 2-0. Next one is Watford hosting Aston Villa. What do you think about this one, RJ?
Yeah, most intriguing, obviously, because of Villa and Watford coming up now. So it's hard. Vicarage Road, it's going to be very difficult. Villa haven't got any chemistry. I know we're not explaining answers, so I'm going to give you an answer right now. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. It's going to be tough.
Wow, that's huge.
No, I like that. I do like that. I haven't picked any draws. I will go Villa 2-1 for the safe option, but I do like that. It's a fair shout.
Yeah, I'm going Villa 2-0. There's too much quality in that team, and Martinez in goal. He ain't conceding. Norwich hosting Liverpool, the last one for this round. I think Liverpool start with a bang. I'm going with 4-1. Robbie?
Yeah, 4-0. 4-0 for me. I want Salah hat-trick, hopefully, for the fantasy.
Yeah, I think 3-0 to the Reds.
Yep.
Some cracking matches coming out. I'm just so happy it's back. If you've got any predictions you wanted to make in the live chat, feel free to do that as well. We would love to see what you've got for us as well. Now, boys, I want to put up a picture and get your reaction to this. Give me half a tick to make it happen. Unless you've been living under a rock, you are absolutely aware that Lionel Messi is now at PSG. Now, I know we're a Premier League-based show, but when one of the greatest players of all time moves in these circumstances, it's a big deal. RJ, I think it'd probably be good for you to open on this because when we have that Ronaldo-Messi debate, you are a Messi fanboy. What are your thoughts on this? I see this picture and it makes me sick. I don't know how.
Yeah, well, for me, he's the best player of all time behind Frank Lampard, of course. But in all seriousness, I just think one of my principal arguments for Messi and what he's been doing is the legacy he set as being the one club hero, and it doesn't feel right, does it? Yeah, but in many ways, given the world we live in, the topsy-turvy uncertainty, something like this is just kind of perfect narrative about how crazy times have become. So, yeah, it's very disturbing, to be honest. See him, I wish him all the best. I do feel sorry for Barcelona fans, not the club, because of how mismanaged they are and greedy and how poorly governed they were. But the Barcelona fans, I feel sorry for because it's a dramatic collapse now. I see it is going to take some time to rebuild. But for Messi and PSG, wow, if you're a PSG fan, I'd be very excited because I was hanging for the opportunity to bring him in. I don't care how old he was, but yeah, it doesn't feel right. But yeah, equally intrigued to see how he goes over there.
Robbie, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I haven't really got any an emotional attachment to Messi. You know me, I'm a big Ronaldo fanboy. I have all the respect for him. I do think he's one of the goats. And yeah, for me, look, I know his life pretty much was Barcelona. He's been there since 13 years old, and I do think he was genuinely sad. But I think some of those tears were crocodile tears as well. You know, he was very genuinely paid, and I'm sure if he really wanted to stay, he could have worked something out financially. But look, he looks pretty happy in these last 2 days, wiping his eyes with all these $100 bills from PSG. I'm pretty sure he could sit on the bench for the season and just play in the Champions League, which is what their main goal is. But look, good luck to him. And look, I tune into the French league a lot more than the La Liga, so I'll be watching a lot more of him.
Yeah,
Scott, I've just got to say something. Apparently, I don't know how credible this is to your point about pay cuts. Even if he paid for free because of the income, apparently they've spent 110% of their income on the wage bill. Even if he was to play for free, it still wouldn't have been enough to meet their demand. So, look, I think it's a bit harsh on him to say, oh, he's crocodile tears and wiping his money. So, I don't know. I think it's a bit harsh.
Go back a year ago. I was just talking to Tom on this on the podcast. But wasn't he not a year ago trying to push his way out of the club?
Yes. Because of how badly they run. So I don't feel bad for the administration.
I don't feel bad for the administration, but I still think, there's two sides to the coin.
Now, to me, I am physically, mentally, and emotionally incapable of feeling any pity or sympathy for Barcelona. You know what? They're a big club, but they have used that to pillage whatever players they've wanted over the years. I'll never forgive them for his Spanish teammates chucking that Barca jersey on young Fabregas. No sympathy for the club whatsoever. I know that sounds harsh, but when you're at the top, they have just been absolutely reckless. And if it's the same as me, if I'm reckless and go and get into a bunch of debt, no one's going to feel sorry for me because that's my choice. I think, to me, this move feels cheap. I know that's an ironic thing to say, because he's pocketing ridiculous amounts of money. It just felt like the easy way out. I don't know if there was any other interest, but, You've jumped off the sinking ship of Barca to a PSG team that's stacked. They'll win the Champions League. I know we were arguing about this, Robbie. You don't think they will. It's just stacked. It's cheap. It's easy. To me, Ronaldo's the GOAT, mate.
But where does he go? Okay, that's a good point. But what does a good alternate club look like? A mid-table team in the Premier League? Like, of course, why wouldn't the best player, arguably alongside Ronaldo, what poor team has Ronaldo gone to? He's went from United to Real Madrid to Juventus, the top team in each of those leagues. So why is he going to a superstar team in France any different?
No,
go on, Rob.
No, I've got no. Like I said, I agree with RJ in this. It was only ever going to be a City or a PSG that was going to be able to afford him. And look, he could have went to a Juventus or a PSG, and I've got nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't know why everyone's hating on PSG for starters, because they're going out and buying all these players. Like Real Madrid and Barcelona have been doing it for centuries and decades. They've always gone to look at Bayern. They pretty much, whoever pops up. That's what they do every year. They just go out and, here's a good player. We'll go snatch him just to dominate the domestic league.
So to me, it's just dirty. It's an ugly move for football. You had all that outrage, Robbie, over a Super League, and you guys saw my stance on this. I was the only one not getting up in arms over it on this show.
I was pretty neutral, mate.
I was definitely up in arms, but I think it was a different perspective as well, because the whole thing with that was the whole relegation thing. That's why most people were blowing up about that was going to be a fixed crew kind of thing. With this, I'm sure if Arsenal were in and had all the money like PSG had, and they're going out and buying a Messi and a Neymar and a Mbappe, would you be complaining right now and calling it dirty?
Mate, PSG fans are laughing. But it's like the same with, you haven't got a Super League now. You've got a super team. It makes an absolute mockery of financial fair play. It just goes to show that the oil money helps you get away with whatever you want to get away with. That's not in the best interest of the game either. That's not clean. That's not, it just doesn't feel right.
But you know what? That's a good point. But what's the old adage? Money doesn't always buy you everything, because
100%.
they have still failed their primary target, along with City, to win the highly coveted prize. And I know we've obviously spent a lot of money, but that's not net spend over the last 10 years. But with PSG, and I agree with Dan Hill, by the way, if we were playing Football Manager or FIFA or whatever you young kids call it these days, yes, they would win every game they play. But there's something more. The team is more than the sum of its parts. And I think with PSG, with the egos in that dressing room, and Pochettino, the real non-glorious yet-to-be trophy winner, except for one, how is he going to gel that team together? I'm most intrigued. I don't think they're going to win the Champions League. I'll put it out there now.
I had this argument with Scott the other day, and I agree with you. I think everyone's forgetting that they didn't even win League One last year. Lille won it with like a quarter of the pennies that they have. So they've got with Pochettino there as well, like you just said, he hasn't really won anything yet. So
look, I'm happy to put the boot into Poch. I look at this and it just doesn't sit right with me. I think it's just absolutely insane, but he had to go somewhere. And if City and PSG were the only ones, well, to me, I would like to know what financial fair play does. And if it does nothing, which it clearly doesn't, because City got out of it, PSG are creating a FIFA Ultimate Team. I just want to know why it's there. Don't lie to fans and treat them like idiots, saying there's financial fair play to protect integrity, and then have a team that's got Neymar, Messi, Mbappe, Sergio Ramos, the best goalkeeper in the world, Donnarumma, in my opinion. They're not playing cheap. What is financial fair play? I would love some clarity.
It's smart, isn't it, though? Because you look at, I just read it the other day, you look at those names, but interestingly, a couple of them were free transfers and they're only paying wages. So they'll be smart and say, well, we only spent it on Hakimi and Donnarumma, but we got both Messi and Ramos for free transfers and only paid them a ridiculous wage. So they're very clever in the way they structure these things. I think the key point, though, is you've got a framework, financial fair play, that clearly isn't achieving its objective because the system is too loose and easily circumvented that you get these scenarios where the gap is not shrinking, it's widening. But the thing I hang my hat on is that despite all of the power play and all the money being thrown, in the long run, there's still no guarantee that that's going to buy you success. It improves your chances dramatically, but it doesn't guarantee it. So that gives us hope for the rest of us. And I put Chelsea in the rest of us group.
That's a sneaky one there. But look, I'm hoping I don't want them to win it. I don't enjoy that this financial fair play is a mockery. But it is what it is. That's the way football is now. Let's look at a couple of comments from the live chat because I want to talk about a couple more transfer things, and then we've got some quick fires to end the show with. Lottie, agreeing with you, RJ, there's going to be major ego issues in that locker room, and is Poch the man to hand to them? Who knows?
No.
Declared. They got their hands in too much of the game. The Qatari group bought the World Cup. Being sports has too many rights and influence. Mate, I absolutely agree. I think people should be equally outraged about some of the things you said as they were with the Super League. A few more. Wouldn't surprise me if Poch does a Spursy. Can only hope. Tom. I agree with Tom. I can accept big clubs signing the best with finances they've generated, not a club financed by a state or royal family. Agree with you, Tom. Champions League belongs and should always belong in Europe, not the Middle East. Interesting. Dan, principle of financial fair play is that you can only spend what you earn. Basically, in 2 financial years, you can only report losses of 40 mil. Interesting. Dan, I'd love to have a chat with you to explain it to me some more. You seem to have your head around it. I just can't get my head around what it is. And last one before we look at some rumours. Their wages are so high, RJ. Yeah. That they don't bring in that income. But, yeah, a free transfer just means that wage gets funneled into the bill. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. And the key question there is what Dan said. Will they be punished even if they violate it? Absolutely not, if you ask me. So, boys, you want to look at a couple of other transfers quickly? Or any that you had that you wanted to mention?
Not really. The only thing, obviously, is the impending signature of Lukaku to us, which obviously we're keen on. And look, from our team's point of view, that's, if I'm being a little bit selfish here, that's not where the buck should stop. I know we are courting Jules Koundé quite heavily in the CB area for a bit of depth, given we've sold off a couple during this window. Although Chalobah has had a really good preseason, so I'm quite keen to see what the decision is to make to loan or to keep him. And clearly, for me, another favourite is that midfield position. I don't think, based on the current dynamic, if you want to call it that, we have enough reserve throughout the whole campaign to go on to win it. So I'm quite keen to see if we do try to bring in the likes of an Aurelian Tchouameni or someone like that. I think we're holding out on Declan Rice because the pricing is just too expensive from West Ham and he'll be a lot cheaper next season. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that picks up over the next week or two.
Yeah, interesting. Robbie, did you have any you wanted to add, mate?
No, man, like I said, I'm hoping after this, we should have Varane announced. I'm hoping in the next couple of hours. We had the kit drop today, so I'm expecting, I think he done his medical yesterday, so he should be announced. Nothing more really to add.
Daniel's telling me that we forgot 2 predictions in there. Daniel, if you just type in the live chat what I missed, we'll go back and do them. Might have lost some in the excitement. But while we're waiting for that, Mr. Fabrizio Romano, who we had on this show not too long ago, Shaqiri has completed his agreement to Lyon, contract ready, and he's pushing. That's an interesting one. He never really got much of a chance at Liverpool, did he? Do you think this is a good move?
Yeah, why not? He'll get minutes over there. Like I said, he wasn't really used, but he went there, didn't play much, and came out with a Champions League and a Premier League. So I'm sure I'm not very upset about it.
Yeah, it worked out well. Anything from you, Arch? There are those fixtures. Well, the one we talked about most, City Spurs.
Yeah.
How do we? Let's quickly do that now. Robbie, City Spurs. Who you got?
I actually think this is going to be a close one. I'm going to go 1-1. I'm just going to say 1-1.
Ooh.
Yeah, I really think that sorry, quickly, I know we're not explaining, but I think Spurs have had a bit more of a preseason compared to City. So I think they could be up for a taking here, City.
Interesting.
Yeah, you're disqualified from that one, Rob. So take note of that, Daniel. Rob explained his answer. He gets no points for that. 2-1 City. That's my answer. That's it. No explanations.
2-0 City for me, even though Spurs look good. City will do it. And Newcastle, West Ham. Over in Newcastle, I think that'll be interesting. I'm going for a 1-1 draw here. I think that home crowd will be up for it.
Yeah,
Robbie?
I like that as well, Mike. But I'll go 2-1 West Ham. I think they need to start strong again.
Arch?
Yeah, I'm gonna go the same as Robbie. 2-1 West Ham.
I think West Ham are really going to miss Jesse Lingard. He turned them around last season. I'm curious to see how they go without him. I just wanted to quickly mention this one. It's being rumoured that the deal's off for Aaron Ramsdale. I'm not disappointed. I can't believe we're going into the season without a backup keeper. But I'm just hoping we can pull something off. Aaron Ramsdale at the price point that was being discussed, that wasn't it for me. The man that Inter are keen on, Andre Onana, that's someone I'd be keen on paying for. So interesting to see. There's always King Kepa. Maybe he could come over to the Gunners.
What do you boys? I was going to say, what do you boys think of Martinez to Spurs? Hopefully we bottle it for him. But what do you guys think about that?
Oh, I haven't even heard that, to be honest. No, I think Villa's, like I said, I don't think he's going anywhere, man. He just came from Arsenal last year. They're buying all these players with the Jack Grealish money. I think they're going to want like a Europa spot or something. And he's a great keeper. I really rate him. So I think it's crazy if they're going to let him go.
Yeah, I think Onana at $6 million. That's insane. I don't think there was actually one more that I wanted to scroll down to that I saw earlier. Here you go. Yannick Vestergaard set to join Leicester.
That's crazy for Southampton to let him go. They just let Ings go. I think Ryan Bertrand's gone as well. I seen this today, and I was honestly going to say to you guys, change my Crystal Palace drop in and put Southampton in, because I think they're massive losses, man.
Yeah, and Ward-Prowse as well. I just heard just before we came on, Ward-Prowse has been quoted. That's a massive loss.
I heard Villa are going to go in for Ward-Prowse as well, man. That's crazy.
Everton, I think, if I'm not, maybe the live chat can tell us. I think it was them two that were reported.
Yeah, crazy. That's crazy, man.
Very crazy. Joe Willock to Newcastle seems to have broken down. Couldn't reach personal terms. Look, to me, I won't be disappointed if he stays.
I thought I seen that that was all happening.
I think the clubs agreed a fee, but he couldn't agree personal terms. But I'm sure Newcastle will go back and try again.
Borgie, I'm looking right now. It's just got tweeted from Romano, and the last thing says Joe Willock deal to Newcastle will be completed soon.
When was that?
Just now. Like it was, opened with Martin Odegaard has always been Arsenal priority more than Maddison. Arsenal board waiting for Real Madrid final decision on Odegaard. They'll be ready for a bid for the Norwegian talent. And then the last sentence says Joe Willock deal Newcastle will be completed soon.
Mate, just Fabrizio.
Hang on, Fab. Yeah, Rob. Yeah, you're right. Apparently that's right. Thanks, Fab.
Oh man, that's crazy. Look, the guy transfers have changed so quickly.
Even the Kane thing, Scott. Like if Kane goes and my club Inter, those I can see in the background, obviously we've lost Lukaku, lost Hakimi. They've banked a lot this time around because of their financial distress. They've obviously talked about Spurs and their £70 million sort of offer for him. But Inter now apparently digging in their heels. It'll be interesting to see if Kane was to go, would they up their bid and try to pressure Inter for another 5 or 10 more million, and would they let him go? So that's actually interesting as well to see the ramifications of that.
Yeah, very interesting, boys. Look, we have been going now for an hour and 15 minutes, the longest we've definitely gone on YouTube. Thank you, and we wouldn't be going this long if you guys in the live chat weren't pumping. But we are going. Sorry.
We're still live. I didn't know. I thought we were just having a chat.
Look, we are going to move to some quick fire questions. Before we do that, again, if you haven't liked or subscribed, please do so. Please share it. We are trying to grow, and we love having you here with us. Fantasy Premier League tournament. We are going to close entry to that soon, so we'll put out another tweet, Facebook post, etc. because we would love as many of you in there as possible. $100 voucher at World Soccer Shop up for grabs. So that would be a cracking prize to win. And go back and watch.
How many of them are there?
I
About
think I'm
50.
around 50, 60 now, yep.
Yeah, so we love a late push. And if you haven't gone back and seen our episodes with Scott McDonald, Fab, go back and check them out, particularly the one with Scott McDonald, former Celtic striker. Was a great episode. Boys, quick fire time, and then RJ, you are wrapping this baby up because I'm getting sleepy.
In the spirit of the money banking PSG, so this is a keep, loan, sell. Messi, Neymar, Mbappe. Who would you keep? Who would you loan? Who would you sell? Quickly, Scott.
Sell Neymar, can't stand him. Loan Mbappe so he can continue developing. Keep Messi because he's already there.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I'd sell Neymar, loan Messi to Chelsea, and keep Mbappe.
Yeah,
Robbie.
Thank you.
All right, boys. Any match day routines before you watch your club play?
Yes. My alarm goes off about 15 times, so my wife kicks me out of bed and tells me to turn it off. I'll toddle into the theatre room and sit down. I like to watch the game sitting on the floor. I won't sit on the couch.
Yes,
and I normally need a coffee at halftime. So they're my routines. And pray the little kid wakes up so I can bring him in to watch Arsenal. But he normally sleeps during those games. RJ?
Yeah, for me, for those who are watching, we get up at the unsavory hours at whenever o'clock. I'll get up about half an hour beforehand. I like that. Good comment. But for me, I get up, about half an hour before, maybe go online, do some reading, reread the predictions pieces that I contributed to as part of the Chelsea social that I write, do a bit of a scurriage around the grounds to see what the latest updates are, so go to the couch, turn the TV on, and then like Scott, probably a coffee at halftime. So, yeah, pretty much that's the rhythm.
Yeah, boys, pretty similar. My alarm goes off an hour before the team release. I normally put a few threads up on Facebook and stuff like that. And I get my United cup for a coffee or a tea sometimes. I don't mind. And the funny thing is, I have this thing called a snuggie. I don't know if you know what it is. It's kind of a reverse. It's like one of those reverse dressing gowns, and the arms come in so I can drink my coffee on the theatre room. That's it. I'm happy.
I think we're done here.
Boys, worst day and time to watch your club play. For me, I hate the games at 2 or 3 a.m. I find it so hard because you can't sleep well before. And by the time you've fallen back asleep after being buzzing, you got to wake up. That's the worst time for me.
3 o'clock Monday has to be the worst time. I'm a tradie and I leave early, so pretty much my day starts from 2 as I get up an hour before kickoff. It'll finish at 5, and I'm pretty much leaving straight from kickoff. So it's a big one, and I hate it. Yeah, 3 a.m. Mondays. It's always Chelsea United.
Yeah, for me, it's probably that or even 1 a.m. because for me, I think 3 a.m. it finishes at 5 a.m. It's close enough to the daytime because I'm on an adrenaline rush for about 2 hours anyway, straight after the game. So if it's at 1 o'clock, it finishes at 3. I won't fall asleep before 5 anyway, and I have to get up straight away, so no point. So, yeah. Quick one, in terms of Premier League business, which PL club has done the best transfer business so far? Scott?
Villa.
I'm going to be biased. I'm quite happy with what we've done. We dressed the centre-back with Varane, and we've got Sancho, so I'm really happy with us.
Yeah, now fair calls on both. And yeah, to be honest with you, I would say, I'm leaning more towards United because Villa lost a big player. United haven't lost any key stars. They've supplemented their squad.
Boys, show or movie of the week you'd recommend?
I'm really loving Survivor at the moment. One of my dreams is to get on Survivor, so every season I watch it, I'm going to fill out the application this year. You might see me on there next.
I'm a big promoter of this show on Amazon called Wicked Tuna. I know it sounds funny, but it's just an awesome show. Go watch it. It's just great.
I think my movie of the week I tuned in on Disney Plus was on that Jungle Cruise with The Rock. I thought that was a good watch.
Oh,
very good pick. Good shout.
Okay. Favorite spread combo. So when you're putting out a bit of a spread to have a nibble on, what's your favorite combo, Robbie? You're the king of spreads. Go on.
Yeah, I'll put these. So I got two quickly. Nutella and strawberries is an easy one, but a smoky, Vegemite and avocado.
Cheese and Vegemite for me, like a slice of cheese with Vegemite.
Nice. That's a tough one. I'm probably just going to go keep it old school and say, if we'll pretend it's pancakes, it'd be Nutella, maple syrup, and a bit of vanilla ice cream.
All right.
Absolutely. We have loved having you here today. I know RJ's about to wrap us up, but quickly from me, thank you for keeping that live chat busy. We love having you here. It's so much more fun when you're in there. And I hope you enjoy the first round of the Premier League. Robbie, you got any goodbyes before RJ closes?
Just quickly, boys, I want to have a quick shout to my brother. I'm a viewer again. I got a new niece during the week, so I just want to give a quick shout out to my brother Jules and my new niece Mila. So welcome to the world.
Beautiful, congratulations.
Wonderfully well said. And look, for me, I don't have any specific individuals I want to shout out, but I suppose as a collective, I want to shout out the great support we continue to have within our IFT community. You guys have been great. We are steadily growing our base, and that's all thanks to the core that we've built to date. But as Scott has mentioned several times throughout the episode, good work, Declared. It's all about the show. It's 100%. I love Declared. I love Concierge. I love all of these great people in the chat. They're the best. That's why we're here at the end of the day. We love talking Premier League because this is what we're passionate about, and we can't do it without you guys. But 2 days to go. It's here. It's finally here. And absolutely, we are ready to get charged for another action-packed season of the Premier League, and we can't wait to see you next time. But until then, enjoy your week and stay safe.
Take care, everyone.